Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to do a deep dive on success, but not just like general success tips. We're talking Elon Musk level
Yeah.
success.
Yeah, should be interesting. You've got some great source material for this one.
Yeah. We have a transcript of like a motivational talk he gave.
Okay.
And then alongside that, someone put together these like super organized notes on his 10 rules for success.
Oh, nice. So we can see how his actual words translate into like actionable advice.
Exactly. It's a cool way to get inside his head.
Yeah.
So let's jump in. Rule number one is no seas esclavo del trabajo. Don't be a slave to work.
Getting right to the point. I like it.
Yeah, well, he doesn't pull any punches here. He talks about how he was a total workaholic for years, sleeping at the office, barely taking vacation.
Yeah, for over a decade, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, like more than a decade straight. Crazy?
Totally.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that he's not glorifying it. He actually calls it destructive.
Right. You'd think someone like him would be all about pushing yourself to the absolute limit, but
Yeah. But he's saying it backfired. He talks about how it almost cost him his family and even hurt the companies he was with.
yeah, he says when you're that burnt out, you can't make good decisions, you lose your creativity.
You're not functioning at your best, basically, and everyone suffers for it.
So it's more than just taking care of yourself. It's about being effective, right? Like
Mhm.
recognizing when pushing harder is actually going to hold you back.
Yeah. He's basically warning everyone, don't make the same mistakes I did.
Solid advice. Okay, moving on to rule two. Encuentra tu propósito. Find your purpose. This is where things.
Oh, yeah, this is good stuff. He talks about being fascinated by space travel as a kid and then, like, diving into philosophy, searching for answers.
And he points out that finding your purpose isn't always like this big aha moment.
Right. It could be more of a journey, exploring your interests, reflecting on what matters to you, trying things out, and, seeing where it leads.
It's not just about what you're good at either. He's talking about the impact you want to have on the world.
Exactly. Like he didn't know he was going to start SpaceX when he was a kid, but all that early exploration, those questions he was asking, they laid the groundwork.
The notes we have actually add a cool exercise here. They suggest spending time thinking about the legacy you want to leave behind. Like, what do you want people to remember you for?
Ooh, that's a big one. But I like it. It makes you think long term.
Yeah. It's not just about your career, it's about your impact on the world, period.
Definitely makes you think.
Okay, let's get to rule three, abraza el miedo, embrace fear. This one surprised me. Like Elon Musk, the guy sending rockets into space, you wouldn't think he'd be afraid of anything.
Right. But he's really honest about feeling fear, especially when he started SpaceX. He knew it was a huge risk that he could lose everything.
So it's not about not being afraid. It's about like doing it anyway, even when you're terrified.
Exactly. He even says something like, even if you tremble while you do it.
That's powerful.
Yeah. It's acknowledging that fear is natural,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have to control you.
Rule four kind of builds on this idea. No to myself Picasso, don't be afraid of failure. He gets super real about those early SpaceX launches.
Oh, yeah. Rockets exploding, millions of dollars up in smoke.
He talks about the pressure he felt. But it's interesting, he doesn't dwell on the negative. He focuses on what he learned from each failure.
3 launches in a row failed. It's crazy.
But he says each one taught him something crucial. Like there were almost necessary steps on the path to success.
He sees failure as part of the process, as long as you're analyzing it, adapting, and, actually learning from it.
It's like if you're not failing, you're probably not pushing yourself hard enough.
I can get behind that.
Okay, on to rule five. This one gets a little more technical. It's innova desde lo básico. Innovate from first principles. He uses the example of Tesla batteries. Everyone said they were too expensive.
Right. Like it was accepted as a fact. But Musk, he wasn't having it.
He just went back to the basics. Like, what are batteries actually made of? How much do those materials cost?
He literally went back to the periodic table.
Yeah, he's not just trying to improve on existing technology, he's questioning the entire foundation.
That's what he calls first principles thinking. You strip away all the assumptions and look at the problem with fresh eyes.
So, like, how can we apply this to our own lives? Is this just for rocket scientists, or can it help us with more everyday problems?
That's a great question. And one we'll definitely explore as we dive into the next 5 rules. These are all about how Musk builds teams, fosters a culture of success. The stuff that goes beyond just individual brilliance. Okay, so we've seen how Musk tackles work, purpose, fear, failure, all that good stuff. But how does he actually sustain success Not just one win, but like keep going.
Well, Rule 6 gets into that. Persevera con fe en ti mismo. Persevere with faith in yourself. And he uses a pretty crazy example to illustrate it.
Oh yeah, 2008.
Yeah.
Both Tesla and SpaceX were on the verge of bankruptcy. Can you imagine?
Everything he built, all on the line. He talks about the stress, the sleepless nights. But what kept him going, he says, was his belief in the vision.
It wasn't just stubbornness either. It was deeper than that. This conviction that what he was doing, it mattered, even if everyone else thought he was nuts.
He even mentions, like, celebrating tiny victories during those dark times just to fuel his belief, keep the momentum going.
Makes sense. Got to find something to hold on to when everything seems like it's falling apart.
Makes you wonder, though, how much of success is just sheer willpower, that refusal to quit, even when it seems impossible.
Well, Rule 7 kind of shifts the focus a bit. It's rodeate de personas mejores que tú. Surround yourself with people better than you. Musk is very clear that he couldn't have done it all alone.
Yeah, he talks about needing a team of brilliant people, each with their own unique skills and perspectives. He specifically mentions Gwynne Shotwell, the president of SpaceX, calls her leadership essential to their success.
It's like he's saying, recognize your own strengths, but also your weaknesses, and find people who can fill those gaps.
But it's not just about talent, right? It's about creating the right environment for those people to thrive.
Totally. Musk talks about building a culture of trust and mutual respect, where people can challenge each other's ideas, but in a productive way.
So you can have a team full of superstars, but if they're all undermining each other,
It's not going to work.
exactly. Okay, Rule 8 is a good one. Enfrenta los problemas con honestidad. Confront problems with honesty. This is where we get a glimpse of the culture at SpaceX, which he describes as having brutal honesty.
Brutal honesty. Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, he uses those early Falcon 1 failures as an example. Instead of trying to hide them, they did these super detailed post-mortem analyses. Everyone talked openly about what went wrong, even if it was uncomfortable.
No blame games, just focusing on figuring out the problem and how to fix it.
Seems like that would be terrifying for some people, but maybe it's also freeing in a way.
Yeah, it creates accountability, but also a sense of shared responsibility.
Okay, Rule 9 is interesting. It's the más de lo que recibes, give more than you receive. This is where we see like Musk's idealism coming through.
Oh yeah, his belief in using business to make a positive impact on the world. He says Tesla isn't just about selling cars, it's about transitioning to sustainable energy. And SpaceX, it's not just about space exploration, it's about ensuring the survival of humanity.
So he's talking about a different kind of bottom line. It's not just about profit, it's about purpose.
He even suggests that when you focus on giving back, success becomes almost a side effect, like it naturally follows.
Interesting. Okay, and finally, Rule 10 brings us back to something we talked about earlier. Nunca pierdas la pasión, never lose your passion. He acknowledges that there will be tough times, doubts, even despair, but it's during those times that you need to remember your why.
That thing that gets you out of bed in the morning that fuels you through the hard parts.
He's basically saying passion is the key to resilience. Without it, even the smartest people can burn out.
So we've gone through all 10 rules now. Work ethic, building teams, purpose, impact. It's a lot. But are these rules just for people trying to revolutionize entire industries? Can they apply to more everyday goals?
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, not everyone is going to start the next Tesla or SpaceX, but maybe there are some universal truths in these rules that we can all apply to our own lives no matter what our goals are.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, his rules come from this like crazy intense world, but they touch on things we all deal with.
Totally. Finding your purpose, sticking with it, building a solid team. It's not just rocket science, it's like life stuff.
Exactly. Even that rule 2 and Cuenta tu propósito, it doesn't have to mean like curing cancer or colonizing Mars.
Right. It's about what gives your work meaning, what makes you feel like you're making a difference, however you define that.
Could be anything, really. Being a great parent,
Yeah.
teaching kids, mastering a skill.
And even that super technical one, Rule 5, innova desde lo básico, the first principles thing, that can apply to everyday problems too.
Oh, yeah. Imagine using that to get organized or come up with a creative solution at work.
It's like instead of just accepting the way things are, you ask why and what if. I like that. And maybe that's where Rule 10 comes full circle, right? Nunca pierdas la pasión. That's got to be universal.
Yeah, finding that thing that makes the struggle worth it, whatever your personal rocket launch is.
That's a cool way to put it. So, listener, as we wrap up this deep dive into Elon Musk's 10 rules, maybe that's the takeaway. It's not just about what you achieve, but how you approach the journey. Maybe that's the real secret sauce, this Musk level intensity applied to your own life, your own goals. Something to think about.